Hey. Okay, hello here. It is Friday morning, and I'm excited to be on here for another episode of the crowdfunding chat. So, a lot of people want to work with like a consultant or an agency or someone, a freelancer, someone, right, who can, potentially help with their crowdfunding campaign. And a lot of people ask, like, who should I work with? How do I determine who to best work with? Which, I don't know, agencies, which consultants, which freelancers? Like, how do I figure out who is the right person for me? Well, let's talk about that today. Let's talk about that. I'm an open book. Let's talk about it. Um, First thing is that if you've already launched a campaign, if you've already gone live, press the launch button, and your campaign's running, and someone reaches out to you and says, "Hey, we can do promotions for you. Hey, we can do advertising for you. Hey, we can do this and that for you." Stay away from them. Stay away from them because they are not going to be the person you want to work with. I assure you. People who firstly like reach out to you when you've already launched, it's kind of like a predatory practice in a way because they're trying to find people who are kind of grabbing at straws pretty much in terms of trying to find promotions for their campaign, people who are trying to figure out how to do the next, best thing for their campaign. Their campaign might be slowing down, their funding might be like slowing down, their backer count might be slowing down, things like that. And so they're kind of trying to capitalize on your kind of fears, worries, anxieties during the campaign itself. Once the campaign starts slowing down, it's kind of a predatory practice. So please don't work with anyone who just like randomly reaches out and you've never heard of them before. They don't know, and you don't know who they are, and they haven't been referred by a friend or a family or someone who you've been in touch with about a crowdfunding campaign. Like if they haven't been referred to by anyone and they're just like randomly reaching out, especially via like the Kickstarter, what do you call it? The Kickstarter message box, the Kickstarter inbox, and if they're just kind of reaching out via like your support email or something, if you're on Indiegogo, like just don't work with them. They're just there's like tools that they can look at to see that, okay, the campaign started off really well or the campaign started off really low and oh, they're slowing down or like, oh, there's no traction at all. And then they can talk about that and get you to be like, oh no, this is not good for my campaign. I should work with someone, and they'll make miracles happen and they'll make magic happen and they'll put my project in front of like millions of people. There's a lot of people who like reach out when you launch and that happens actually. Like they'll say, "Hey, do you want to pay $10 to have your campaign seen in front of 10,000 backers?" Okay, when someone messages you about that, they're going to be posting your campaign on like a forum or like a Facebook group where no one in the 10,000 people are engaged at all. So please don't do this. If you have gone live already, please don't do this. It is horrible. It's like a waste of money, and it'll leave a sour taste for the crowdfunding space at the end of the day. So please don't do that. That's kind of the first thing I wanted to bring up, right? Like once you go live, there's going to be all these people reaching out to you. Don't do it. The second thing is like pre-launch, right? There's so many options to work and there's so many options to work with someone for pre-launch. You can go it alone too, just so you know, right? You can go it alone. There's a lot of people who do the pre-launch, they do all the reading, they watch all the YouTube videos, they listen to all the podcasts, and they do the pre-launch alone. And that's totally cool, right? Like all the more power to you, because a lot of people are like, okay, I know how to grow a community, I know how to talk about my product, I can run, some basic ads to get those email leads, kind of grow the leads, and I can, get my friend or my family or my like significant other to design the graphics of the campaign page and like, just get like a local person to do the crowdfunding video. Totally cool, right? Lots of people just do it themselves and they get to like a very successful raise and they meet their goals. So that's cool. if you're interested in like working with someone else, right? If you're interested in working with like an agency, or let's talk about agencies first, actually. If you're interested in working with an agency, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of agencies out there. I can tell you, there are a lot of agencies here in Seattle. There's a lot of agencies in California, where I was at before, especially in the Bay Area and kind of the south part of California too. So there's a lot of agencies that specialize in crowdfunding. How do you pick which one would work for you, right? How do you pick? And the answer to that is there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions that I would recommend asking the agency just to make sure that they would work for you. So for one, the first question would be like, hey, what kind of projects do you typically work with? What kind of projects? Because not every agency works with the same type of project. Some agencies like specialize in projects that are environmentally friendly, for example, right? Some agencies specialize in projects that are more tech heavy, like stuff with like things that are IoT, things that have a lot of electrical wiring. The tech specs are like 3 pages long, right? Some agencies specialize in that. Some agencies specialize in like outdoor products, like outdoor gear, outdoor something or another, right? Some agencies specialize in small home goods. So there's like an agency pretty much for everything. So the first thing would be like, okay, figure out what category your product is in and asking that agency, like, hey, is this the category that you typically work in? Is this the category you typically find success in? Because at the end of the day, there's hundreds of agencies, but they're all kind of niching down, and they're all kind of taking like a specialty kind of standpoint at this point, right? Like there's so many out there, and then there's people are just finding little niches to fill within the crowdfunding space, so that you can start finding agencies that work for you and your product in this way. It's things that agencies that understand kind of that audience niche for your campaign. So be sure to do that. Ask them about that. The other thing to really ask them about too is like what the working relationship's gonna be like. Like what the process is gonna be like, right? At the end of the day, like if you are working with an agency, they all have the same processes. They have all the same systems, right? They onboard you, they figure out your positioning, they do pre-launch testing to see which image work, which audience works, like which type of copy and text works, like what kind of positioning works. And then they lead people to a landing page and they capture leads, right? It's kind of a no-brainer. Everyone does this now. Okay. But the thing that differs is that like how is the communication going to go throughout this entire process? Some agencies are totally fine just kind of running by themselves, taking the product and just doing their own thing, right? Just doing it and just taking their specialists and their experts and just running with it and just doing what they do. And then just giving you like a dashboard to follow for stats and things like that. Other agencies want to have things like weekly calls so that they can discuss with you what's happening, what's going on, get your input, things like that, right? So there's different ways to navigate this, and it's really dependent on which type of agency that you go with. And so I would recommend asking, like, if you're someone who loves to be really involved, be really in the weeds, if you're that type of person, be sure to ask like, hey, is this how the working relationship going to be? Is this going to be something where I can put my 2 cents in if I feel very strongly about this portion of the product to be talked about, if I feel very strongly about the environmentally friendly seal, like if I feel really strongly about this, and I know that the people who I've talked to, the beta testing I've been doing, things like that, if I know that this is what people resonate with, is it something that you can talk about and kind of weigh in on? Some people just don't want that. Some people really want to take a hands-off approach and they're like, okay, I want to launch this product, and while you're launching my product on crowdfunding, I'm going to go and build a business, right? I'm going to start talking to investors. I'm going to start talking to manufacturing, logistics, supplies. I'm going to start figuring out fulfillment. I'm going to start figuring out all this stuff, and then just do the marketing, right? And they just do the marketing and the launch. And then I'm just going to go like hire people just to amp up my team so that at the end of the day, there's like processes in place. Once the crowdfunding campaign is done, like an e-commerce store is ready. So there's all these things that you can do if you just kind of let it go and the agency just runs with it. Yeah. So what kind of person are you? What kind of person are you? If you are someone who wants to have really tight control, then you probably want an agency that talks to you all the time, every week. If you're someone who doesn't really care about how the product is launched, you just need it to be launched, and yeah, you might be looking at an agency that is more kind of taking the reins, right? So there's a lot of different types. Just ask around, ask what their working relationships are. A lot of them would be happy to kind of refer you to their best clients, so you can talk to their best clients and see what the working relationship was like with their best clients. So that's possible too, right? Other things include like if you if you want to work with an agency, just know that you're also kind of like buying into their connections, their relationships, and kind of all the networks that they have internally with them too, right? Because let's be honest, no one company and no one business, no one agency launches a crowdfunding campaign by themselves anymore, right? Because there's so much specialization within the crowdfunding space now that a lot of people end up working together anyway to make a crowdfunding happen. If you look at crowdfunding campaigns that are like in the millions or in the 2 millions, 3 millions, 4 million, 5 millions, like in the high millions, you'll see if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see that there's a lot of different like banners of different brands and different agencies and different like companies that are working together on that same campaign. You'll see things like, oh, Kick Booster is there. Oh, you'll see like CrossProm is there. You'll see that like Jelp is there. You'll see that like there's all like Backer Club is there, Backerland, Backers Hub. There's Gadget Flow. There's all these different people that have to be involved in a really successful big crowdfunding campaign. So at the end of the day, like it's most obvious at a large scale, those $1 million raises and up, right? It's very obvious that there's a lot of people involved. But if you're looking for like a smaller raise too, like $15,000, $50,000, $100,000 at that level, even if it's a smaller level than $1 million campaign, there's a lot of people still involved in the back end of a successful campaign. So with that said, it's also like, hey, you're buying into this one agency, but you're also buying into the partners that they have, and you're also buying into the other people that they also work with to make sure the campaign is a success. Just ask them about that. Hey, who else do you work with during the pre-launch? Who else do you work with during the launch process, so that you kind of understand the full picture of who you'll be kind of all gelled with and kind of all meshed with by the end of the campaign. Yeah. So those are kind of some things to take into considerations when working with an agency. Like there's no one size fits all, as I like to say about shirts and pants that say one size fits all. Like there's no one size fits all, right? There's a unique fit for everyone. And, like at the end of the day, everyone kind of has the same process. And if you want to work with someone, just make sure you gel with them. Make sure you enjoy talking to them. Make sure you know who's going to be in your team. Make sure you know like what type of person is going to be in your team. And if you are able to like talk to them and like they can respect you and you're going to respect them. So it's like, it's kind of basic, but I want to kind of put that to the forefront because a lot of people get caught up in all the accolades and caught up in all the awards and get caught up in all these like, hey, this agency has raised $100 million, so I should work with them. Like, no, work with an agency that works for you and your product, because that's going to be kind of what takes you above and beyond, right? If you just work with an agency just because of their accolades, like sure, it'll be great, but what if they specialize in something completely different than what you're looking for? If they specialize in like environmentally friendly stuff and your tech product is the opposite of environmentally friendly, like it probably won't work in the long run, because the things that they do, the things that they understand, the audiences that they can kind of leverage and capitalize is not the same audience that you're looking for your particular product. So make sure to keep that in mind as you're looking for agencies. And if you're looking for a consultant, if you're looking for like a coach, if you're looking for someone to kind of work alongside you as a freelancer, make sure to ask honestly just all these questions too. Like, what is it going to be like? How is the process going to be? How are we going to gel? Like at the end of the day, I like to tell a lot of people I work with this actually. There's a lot of consultants out there. Like I'm not the only crowdfunding consultant. There's a lot of them out there. A lot, trust me. There's a lot of crowdfunding consultants, and like the one you choose, we all have the same processes, right? Everyone does the same thing. We've all launched successful campaigns before, and I like to tell people that at the end of the day, the person you choose to work with should be the person that you can count on, you can rely on, you want to get on a call with every single week and like figure things out with. Because at the end of the day, like crowdfunding, it takes like 2, 3, 4 months sometimes, right? And you're gonna be working with this person on your idea, on your passion project, on this thing that you've been thinking about and working on for so long. And you want them to firstly like understand where you're coming from, understand like what your product's about, understand what your goals are, what your visions are, and actually be able to work with you in a way that makes sense for you, right? Like there's a lot of crowdfunding consultants out there, and not everyone, like all a person, like I'm friends with a lot of them, right? Our personalities are a little different, right? We all have the same system. So if you want to work with someone, just make sure that they're a person who you want to get on a call with every day or every once a week, right? Like make sure that they're someone you want to get on a call with just to like figure out problems with. Make sure that they're someone who, when there's a problem, you aren't afraid to run to and like talk about it with. Like make sure that there's someone who you can trust, so that you can like go to sleep knowing that it's going to be okay, even if like things don't go according to plan, right? Because that's really important, because it's something that you've been working on for a long time. Like just for myself, right? Like when I look to hire someone, so like that's one thing I look for. Like, who is this person who I can just kind of like talk to, who I can kind of like not only kind of respect, not only someone who I can really talk about my business with, but who is this person who understands where I'm coming from and understands kind of the weight of the business that I'm in, right? The weight of what I'm doing, and understands um, the importance of what I'm doing. If this person is able to talk about that with me, and this person has that perspective, that's that empathy, if that person is able to really kind of like articulate the importance of what I'm doing, not just for myself, but for the other entrepreneurs out there that I'm helping, like we're kind of connected to another level, right? And not only that, I also look for someone who I can just kind of like talk to, like, hey, how is your family? How is work right now? How is school? How is so I have all these questions that I make sure that this person that I personally hire and I personally work with, I'm able to talk to them about anything and everything too. Because at the end of the day, like you want someone who is going to be a long-term partner, and you want someone who's going to be not only like a working relationship type of person, you want someone who will be empathetic enough to understand where you're coming from and be able to just like talk to you just like as a friend too. That's how I approach like that's how I approach hiring, and that's how I believe other people should approach hiring too. Because after working in an agency, after working in like a startup, a lot of people don't approach hiring in that way. A lot of people approach hiring because of the accolades. A lot of people approach hiring because of the awards and what kind of like cool, new, snazzy case study people show. But at the end of the day, it's people behind all these awards, it's people behind all these accolades, and I think the more important thing is the relationship underneath it all. And if you gel with them, if you can have a relationship with them, if you can kind of be, if the person can be someone you can just talk to, I think that will kind of be a stronger relationship and a much stronger kind of working relationship in the future. But anyways, so that's kind of my little conversation about hiring someone, right? Hiring an agency, hiring a freelancer, a consultant, a coach, an expert, whoever you want to hire, right? Just make sure you have these conversations. early. Make sure you just have these calls and make sure you have these talks, because it's important. It's important because crowdfunding is just crowdfunding your idea, your passion project, something you've been working on for so long now. And you want to make sure that you're working with the right person that cares about it, cares about your idea, cares about your vision, cares about your mission, and cares about you as a person too. I would love to be treated that way whenever I hire someone. I would love to hire someone who just cares about me as a person too, as well as my business. So I would wish the same for everyone else in crowdfunding too, especially because it's an idea that you've been working on for so long. So anyways, that is my little conversation. If you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and also give the video a like. I would really, really appreciate that. If there's questions, feel free to leave it down here too, and I'd be happy to come back to answer any of them. And if you want to get like weekly actionable crowdfunding tips that I don't share anywhere else, be sure to subscribe to crushcrowdfunding.com/subscribe. It's a weekly newsletter that I have. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.